Okay, so now that you've got a bunch of open chords to your repertoire, we're going to look now at bar chords. So these are going to get a little bit harder to play. They're going to require a little bit more finger strength, but they're a great tool to have on the guitar, especially if you're wanting to play electric. We're going to do them on the acoustic today, just for ease of setting it up, I guess. Bar chords tend to actually be easier to play on an electric, so in some ways it's good to learn them on an acoustic and help yourself build up a bit more finger strength. So we will learn more open chords as time goes on, but you've got a basic set now, but it's one of those things, there's a whole lot of chords, different chords, variations and that sort of thing that you can play. What I try and do is teach people what the variations are, how to work them out, so that when you see a chord like A minor 7 flat 5, you know how to work out what the notes in that chord should be, which is a complicated chord, but we'll learn that sort of thing as we journey. But for now, we're going to look at straight out bar chords. So the easiest way to explain these is we'll start with our 6-string bar chords, or our E-string bar chords. So if you play that E major shape that we learned earlier, and when I say learned earlier, if you jump on groundbreakcreative.com, all the lessons are in line that you can do them all in order. Still all free, it's still just these YouTube videos, but they're just in order, so it makes it easier to go through them, that's all. Cool, so if you play that, but you'll remember I said in that lesson that sometimes you'll play it different ways, depending what chords you're playing around it. So when we're playing it with bar chords, we're going to have that finger there as our second finger, and we're going to leave this first finger free. Okay, so effectively what I'm playing now is also an E major bar chord, because at the moment the nut of the guitar here is acting as my bar. So they're called a bar chord because this finger bars a full fret. So all I do is I take that E shape and I move it to where I want. So if I want a G major, then I'm just going to play that note as a G. A major, B major, C sharp major, C major's there, F major. So you can see what we're doing. We're just by knowing where those notes are, we can find any major chord. Okay, so if we take a quick look at the major scale we learned. Okay, so when we're playing an A major, here, we have a 1. So this note is a 1. This note is playing the 5. The pinky there is playing another 1, or our octave pattern, 1 and 8. This finger here is actually playing the 3rd. So the reason it's playing it down there is because the 3rd in the scale is back here, which is behind our bar and behind our 5th note, so we can't play that note at the same time, so we bring it up an octave and play it here. Cool, so remember the difference between major and minor is that a minor scale has a flat 3, a flat 6 and a flat 7. All we're playing here is a standard triad chord, which is 1, 3 and 5. Okay, so all we need to make it minor is a flat 3, which is really simple here. We're just going to lift that finger off, and then that note is going to come back to our bar position, flattening that note, making it minor. Okay, so when you start out with these, holding the pressure of that one finger all the way down, and that's an exercise you can start out doing, playing each of those notes. Okay, that's what takes the strength to hold all that down. So what you might find to start with is that these lower notes here kind of mute off. So because that's the hardest part of the finger to hold down. So if that's happening, don't stress too much about these higher notes, but you don't want them halfway in between where they're half playing, kind of like that. If they're going to mute, let them mute fully and just stick with that note. Okay, so because it's really this lower end of the chord normally that you're working with, there are times where you'll play that higher end of the chord more pronouncedly, but most of the time it's these lows you're looking for. Okay, and then while we're doing that, if I was to play without that third at all, so I was just playing those three notes, that's called a 5 chord, so in that case that would be A5, because it's just 1 and 5. Okay, so if you ever see that written, that's what that is. But they are commonly referred to as power chords, because they're used a lot when you're playing stuff really fast, because especially if you're changing between minor and major, it gets hard taking that finger on and off all the time. So people just play with the power chords. Cool. So that's a lot to learn that we've run through quickly, but just go over it, go through it, and practice through those shapes. And make sure you know where all those notes are. Okay, and if you don't, that's all earlier in the lessons. groundbreakcreative.com, guitar beginner lessons. Just go through them from the top. It'll give you all this stuff in the order you need it.